Something happened when you're 5 years old. This kid is told that he's unworthy, undeserving, not going to make it. So from 5 years old to 65 years old, 60 years, he's keeping that same thought. Today he starts to realize, you know what, I don't want to think that way. But then that opponent, that adversary says, what? Well, it was 60 years ago. How are you going to change what happened 60 years ago? But the party doesn't remind us that we have to come here to be reminded. Fortunately, today even the scientists tell us energy cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. So if we set the pattern, the energy pattern of limitation, of whatever that spiritual prison is, if we set it, then the Creator itself cannot change it. Your friends, your family cannot change it. Your Kabbalah teacher cannot change it. Only one person in the entire universe can change your prison. Yourself. Because it's a creation unique to you. I don't care how many people you meet who you will see have a similar issue. They cannot change yours, you cannot change theirs. But why we're here, why the Kabbalah Center was established in 1922, build communities of people around the world who can unite in consciousness and, like here, in physicality, to support and inspire others to do that transformation. So like we've heard, but we may not believe, if one person on earth can do it, everybody's capable. So if we've heard of one person, or we become the one person who overcomes that, who transforms that energy, then it's inspiring to every other person in the world can do the same thing. The only reason that people don't is because of their prison. Oh, they'll come up with something. Well, but that's him, that's her. They have that ability, they have that capability. Look at them, look what they've done. We'll give excuses and justify why they can do it and we can't. And so that's why here we're constantly reminding ourselves, and we'll continue to remind ourselves, who are we? Who are we individually and collectively? Are we not, according to the Bible, in the image and likeness of God? Yes or yes? So, I mean, think about how silly it is to hold that only on a physical level. So look around this room. Who does God look like? If we're in the image and likeness, well, I don't look like you, you don't look like me. So then maybe that's why you can do things that I can't, and maybe I can do things you can't, because we're all different. No, the image and likeness means we all have the power of the Creator inside of us, and that power is creation itself. But the creation goes according to what? Consciousness is everything. So we're always reminding ourselves, who are we really? I am, you are, everybody. We are pure and perfect beings of light. Pure and perfect beings of light. Pure and perfect beings of light. We may not always behave that way, but that doesn't mean we aren't. It just means we haven't directed our creative power in that way yet. We just have to remove the coverings, the blockages, that spiritual prison that doesn't allow us to be who we really are. And that's why we're here today. Remove the thought patterns of negativity, and then we remove the physical blockages. Because what is everything? Physicality is everything. The money is everything. The health is everything. The business is everything. Your car, your house, etc. That's everything. There's one thing that the Kabbalists teach us is everything. Say it loud. Consciousness is everything. The way we think determines what happens to us. So when we think the past is the past, then we have to stop and say, wait a second. If the past is the past, why am I still in the prison from my 5-year-old? Because if the past is the past, I should be free because I'm no longer 5 years old. My kids may tell you sometimes I act like it, but I'm not 5 years old. But that's the point. The past influences the present, which influences the future. So how many of you ever seen an adult, a mature adult, throwing a tantrum or behaving like a little child? Of course, it's everybody else, not us, right? But you see it. How could that happen? An intelligent, adult, mature human being acting like a child. How does it happen? Now you understand. Because there's a part of them still in that prison, still in that thought pattern of limitation. And therefore, when they are allowed as an adult to be expressive in different situations, under different circumstances, our 3-year-old will show up, our 5-year-old will show up, our 25-year-old will show up. Some part of us of the past will show up today. And if we allow it to just continue its behavior, guess what the future is going to be? The same. It'll be the same. That's the beauty of science, because some people don't believe Kabbalah till they hear a scientist prove it. Well, if science says energy cannot be destroyed and only transformed, now I will accept consciousness is everything. Okay, if that works for you, let it work for you. But then make use of it. Go out and shift your consciousness. Change your consciousness, because if we don't change, then the 3-year-old will show up, and the 25-year-old will show up, and the same 35-year-old will show up in the 85-year-old. The 3-year-old doesn't go away until we change that pattern. Energy can never be destroyed, only transformed, but it won't be transformed except by us. So we have to make the conscious effort to make that transformation. We have to decide enough is enough. I'm tired of being in prison. Imagine these guys who get out of prison and they're still living in their 6x9 cell in some way or another, and their family around them pointing it out. So part of them may understand it, but when does it change? I heard years ago this saying, when a person is sick and tired of being sick and tired, then they'll do something about it. When you and I decide enough is enough, then we will do something about it, but not until then. We have to decide. How many of you have tolerance for pain more than some people you know? So what does that mean? That means when you look at other people, enough is the level of 3. For some of us, enough is enough doesn't happen until 15, 20, 30, or 40. So I want you today, right now, to decide enough is enough. This is enough. The great Kabbalists, and in fact the one who started the Kabbalah Center taught us, Rav Yehuda Ashlag, wrote back in the probably 30s. He said, what is a truly spiritual person? Somebody who's hunting down, in our terms today, their prison, their spiritual prison. We're not forgetting about it. We're not ignoring it. Because does ignoring it make it go away? No, we just act in the 6x9 thinking cell prison without realizing that's what we're doing. And then we're wondering why challenges keep coming to us. Because according to the Kabbalists, the only reason we have challenges in life is to point out where our prison is. The only reason we have challenges in life is to point out where my prison is. My challenges come to me to point my prison. Your challenges come to point your prison. Once we can stop and say, no, it's not about the other person. Because cause and effect, karma, or we call it tikkun, will work for them based on their behavior. Ours works on us. So they may be the one who's pointed out where my prison is, but they are not the one who determines whether I stay in prison or not. That's my free will. But I have to be conscious and aware in the moment. I have to stop. Didn't we used to say, if you're angry, what should you do before you act? Pause and count 10. Well, when I first heard that, I said, okay, I'll count 10. And you know what happened? I'm counting 10. I'm thinking of more ways to get back at that person. It wasn't about change. Okay, they tell me I have to count 10. So I'm counting 10. This is another way to get him. This is another way to get back. This is another way. Pretty soon I already forgot 10. I'm up to 15. All right? No, Kabbalistically, the point of pausing, stopping, is to be aware. It's not them. They have their prison, I have mine. Because theirs impinged on mine doesn't mean we have to go the same way now. The example I like is being on the airplane. You ever gone on an airplane by yourself? Meaning not with your friends and family? Are you alone on the airplane? No. So did you come from the same place as the other 300 people? No. Are you going to the same place after the plane lands as the 300 other people? No, but for that moment, for that flight, you're all on the same place, from point A to point B. What happened before it brought you there was unique to each of the 300 people. What you do afterwards, unique to each of the 300 people. But you know what you could do? If you really wanted, you could follow one of them wherever they go and just follow them. Well, I was actually going to go here, but now I'm going to follow them. Well, then guess what? Whatever they get, you'll get. But if you don't want to go where they're going, you have the free will to go elsewhere. So when those people bring you that awareness of your prison, you pause to say, do I want to go with them where they're going because of this? So if they're behaving in a negative way, do I want to continue on the negative path with them? Yes or no? No, of course we don't. But we act like we do. Now we're learning, stop. I don't want to go where they're going. I want to go where I want to go. I want to go where my potential is. I want to go to my heaven on earth. I want to go to my paradise. So then I have to behave different from them. Because if I behave the same, nothing changed. But the key to beginning is feeling the pain enough that I'm willing to change. Feel the pain. Enough is enough. I've held this long enough. I've been in prison long enough. I'm pained enough to make the change. And then comes what I want to distinguish, the difference between letting go and giving up or giving in. Because a lot of us have given in to the situation because we give up. We don't realize the power we have, so we say, look, it's come again and again and again. I guess I just have to give in now. I just have to give up. And some people will make in their mind, letting go is the same thing. Okay, I let go of what happened. I let go of what happened. I let go of it. So why does it keep following you? If you really let go, how come it keeps going wherever you go? Because the letting go is not giving up. Giving up means I give up, I give away my power, and I don't do anything different. Energy is never destroyed. It can only be changed. But if you don't change it, then the same old is going to happen. So giving up or giving in means I just give up. I just go wherever life takes me. Go with the flow. Can be two things. Thank you for the message. There's go with the flow of the light of our soul towards our individual paradise and bliss. Or if I can say it to you, I hope it's okay, there's go with the flow of the toilet. Because it also has a flow, does it not? But where does it go? It goes to the sewer. Who wants to go there? Ew, did Chaim really say that? Yes, so maybe we'll think like that. Do you want to go to the sewer with that person who points out your prison, or do you want to go to your eternal bliss? Do you want to go to your Garden of Eden? It's your choice, not theirs. But go with the flow. There's two flows, the flow down or the flow up. So go with the flow doesn't mean just go with wherever everybody else is going. Because unfortunately, meanwhile, the vast majority is still going where? Down. They don't have this wisdom, this understanding to be able to go up. Up the down staircase, upstream against the flow, against the current, all those different examples we talk about. That's where you and I are because we're learning here in the center. We're understanding this wisdom. But we've got to first be willing to let go. Let go of what they did and decide, what am I going to do today? We have two biblical examples I want to bring up. Pharaoh. Pharaoh as in the story of Exodus. I mean, hello? How does this remind you of yourself? The first plague comes. Pharaoh gets smacked around. And then what does he do? Okay, I give up, I give up, I give up. And then it says, and then his heart is hardened. So he doesn't give up, or he doesn't let go. He stays the same. What happens now? Second plague, boom, hits him again. First he says, okay, I give up, I give up, I give up. And then it says, his heart is hardened. And then the third plague, and the fourth plague, and the fifth plague. Sound like any of us? You ever seen or noticed sometimes you're in the same situations again and again? Oh, it may be 10 different people bringing you those 10 different experiences, but the same experience. hurting my feelings, cheating on me, I don't know, taking my business, whatever it may be. But it's the same thing over and over because that's our Pharaoh. Yes, at first we say, oh, that's it, I want to change. And then we don't change. The heart hardens, that opponent in our head, that adversary gets to us and says, oh no, it was all them. So move over here and it's going to be different. Change your job, it's going to be different. Change your relationship, it'll be different. Change your city, it'll be different. Change your clothing, it'll be different. Change your hairstyle, it'll be different. Yeah, it'll be different on the outside. The inside's still going to be the same because you're still in the same prison. And like will attract like. Or we can be like the biblical figure called Jethro, who ultimately he started out as the high priest of idol worship, one of the most negative people on earth at that time. But what happened? He had a spiritual awakening. I'd like to say he learned in the Kabbalah Center. But we weren't organized yet back then. But he had that spiritual awakening of what? He began to be aware of how powerful the light of the Creator is, and the idols were not. And he transformed himself. And he transformed himself so much, if you read the Bible carefully, that when he went to his son-in-law Moses, which already tells you how he must have changed, Moses said to him, stay with us and be our eyes to guide us. Stay with us and be our guide to guide us into the light, to the promised land. That's transformation. You and I, we're a mix. Sometimes we act like Pharaoh, sometimes we act like Jethro. We have to decide, are we willing to let go of the past and behave differently, or do we want to hold on to the past? And you know what? For those of us in the center, what can become the big trap? We're willing. We may be willing to let go even, but on the condition that that person who did or said that thing will come to us and ask forgiveness. So we tell ourselves in our brain, yes, I'm always willing to forgive them. But I still didn't let go because they didn't ask for forgiveness yet. So we're still in prison waiting for them to come ask us to get out of our prison when we're holding the key to get out. How ignorant is that? Waiting for them? No. Change your consciousness now. Take yourself out of prison, and then whatever they'll say or do doesn't make an impact on you. It doesn't have to keep you in prison. It's up to you. Be a Jethro. Transform yourself. Don't let yourself be Pharaoh. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe if they'll ask nicely or ask the right way, or maybe if these conditions will change, then I will let go. No, we have the ability now to let go. It's in our power. I have a student who just came to me. She kind of comes in and out. She lives between here and elsewhere, out of the area. So she came, she took some classes for a while. I had a one-time meeting with her. She came again for a class last week. She came to tell me this story. She tells me when she grew up, she was molested by her father. Imagine the prison that she put herself in. In fact, she told me she felt, because he molested her a number of times as a child, that if she made noise, if she let herself, as she called it, be seen, it could only bring pain. So she never let herself be seen. So she's got to be 60s or 70s, and she has yet, until now, not been seen by the world. Didn't want to put herself out where people could see her because she put herself in the prison that being seen meant pain. She tells me the meeting we had when we talked about this, letting go, transforming your past. She says it was so impactful that even though her father's on the other side of this thing we call death, she was willing to let go. She was willing to have compassion on him. She said, which is okay, it's a huge step, but she said, I'm not yet willing to forgive because what he did was unforgivable. But I have compassion. I speak with him now every day, and I've seen signs from him answering. She says, now I can be seen by the world. Now she can let herself out of that prison. If one person can do it, how many other people can do it? How many other people? How many? Everybody. Everybody. Here, there, everyone in the world can do it. You and I are the ones who are helping them to have that awareness, just energetically even, by making our transformation. But we have to keep reminding ourselves, who are we? Pure and perfect beings of light. That's our true nature. Let's start living into it. We cannot, if you want to take away the prison, you cannot just take away the prison. You cannot take away a bad habit that comes from that thought pattern. Because where do our bad habits come from? Do they come from all our good thoughts, wonderful thoughts? No, consciousness is everything. When a person allows themselves to be in prison, then that negative voice in our head, that parasite, jumps in and creates a habit. Well, you can't do this and you can't do this and you got to think badly of yourself. And then we create habits. Those habits won't go away until we change it. So we have to keep reminding ourselves we are pure and perfect beings of light, and then we cannot just take away the prison. If you take something away, take something from a child, watch what happens. Good or bad. They even took a match. They got a lit match that you're worried could burn them, and you take the match away. What's the first thing they want? Give me back. Give me something. You can't just leave an empty space. So you can't just take away the prison. You leave an empty space. And if it's not filled by the light, guess who's going to fill it? The opponent. That opponent's going to just find another negative pattern to put in its place. So it has to be replacement. That's what transformation is. Transform the anger to compassion and forgiveness, the greed to charity, to generosity, the ego to humility, intolerance to tolerance, acceptance. You have to replace it with something. You can't leave an empty place. Take something out of your hand, you want something immediately, because that's who human beings are. So we're here to learn how to replace it. Replace it with the consciousness, I'm a being of light, and then go out and act like the light. Because action is everything. Action is everything. When you begin to act like a powerful light being, then things will change. Yes, we have to be aware, we have to have the thought, and then we have to break out of that prison. But to break out of the prison is not just by thought. The thought has to be there, and then the actions follow. Then the actions follow. Had another student talk about unworthy. She couldn't even look herself in the mirror. Why? She was the product of an affair. Her father had an affair with her mother. So as it sort of became aware to the rest of his family, she was told she's not welcome in the family, like she was garbage, because she was the product of this affair. So she couldn't even look herself in the mirror. Think of that. And all her life, what did she think? What prison did she live in? Unworthy, unworthy, unworthy. And even though she did great things, she helped other people, she still felt unworthy. She came to the center a few years ago. She started to change it, at least a little bit, started to think, okay, I have all the light in me, start doing actions. In fact, she'd probably seen more miracles than any other student I've seen in 30 years in the center. She gives out a Zohar, people start changing. She starts meditating, people changing. But unfortunately, up until recently, she still found herself at least in a corner of that prison. That all the miracles she'd seen didn't give her that final peace of mind. Till recently, when she made one more breakthrough, which I cannot share with you at this point, but huge breakthrough. Act of transformational sharing. And not only did her whole life change, but for me, the most important thing she's able to do now, she can look in the mirror, look herself in the eyes, and say, I love you. Think of that. Yeah, a lot of us might do it. You know, you turn your face and say, okay, I love you, Chaim, you're so great. But can you look yourself in the eyes and say it and really mean it? That's a test. You want to try it? I had one student here a couple years ago. I took her from the meeting room and I dragged her across this room outside where the mirrors are, and I wouldn't let her leave the center until she could at least look in the mirror for a microsecond and say, I love you. We probably stood there 8 minutes. I kept waiting for her to run out the door. At least she had the consciousness to stay. And she knew I wasn't letting her go until she could do it. But she finally did it. That's freedom. She took away the prison. She started to inject true freedom, freedom from that bondage. So today we have to keep reminding ourselves we are pure and perfect beings of light. And I want to leave you a few steps towards this transformation. First is realize the pain. If it doesn't start with acknowledging the pain we are in, that enough is enough, then no transformation is going to take place. We have to be motivated. We have to be motivated. There's nothing we do in our life, from the most minute thing to the biggest thing, without motivation of some reward. So you got to feel the pain you are in right now, the prison you are in right now. Then decide, be determined, and never give up until you change it. Because it's not going to be an easy path to break down those walls. But it can always be done with enough perseverance and determination. The third step is, got to keep reminding yourself. Because the opponent in our head keeps telling us the same negative patterns. We're limited, we're no good, we're unworthy, we're undeserving, we have fear, insecurity, whatever it may be. We have to constantly remind ourselves. And in fact, I brought them. They're outside if you'd like to get them, whatever offering, whatever you'd like to give. But I have a student who made these for us. I am a pure and perfect being of light. I have them by my desk. I have one on my mirror in my bathroom. Because if I don't keep reminding myself, that other incessant voice of limitation is there 24/7. So we have to outdo it. So even just as a reminder, just to keep it with you in your car, wherever you need it, just to keep reminding yourself we are already pure and perfect. So the more we remind ourselves, then the more power we know we have to remove that bondage. Then you have to do the actions. You can't get out of the prison without some action of a jailbreak. Right? Break down the wall, break down the thoughts, do something of its opposite. Some aspect, some action, kindness, love, compassion, generosity, tolerance, forgiveness, humility, something. Replace what you're taking away of a negative nature with something of a positive nature, something of a light nature, and then empower it. Transformation can only last or be eternal if you're using eternal energy. So as we will do here in a few minutes, for those of you who are new, but those of you who've been around, 72 names, Zohar, even if it's just the pocket Zohar. If you have the whole set, great. Use that. If you have the sacred Zohar, the all Aramaic, use it. If you just have this, use it. But since we know the light of the Creator channels through those things we call the Aramaic letters, then by using it in a consistent manner, you keep that change consistent and growing. Without eternal energy, you cannot maintain an eternal change. That's why self-help in and of itself can't last, because we have limited power of our human nature. We have unlimited power by our soul nature. So today, if I give you the example, how many of you would like to have $100? Let's up it. Would you like to have 1,000? I have a $1,000 bill. Would you like a $1,000 bill? Yes. 3 or 4 people. I guess the rest, it doesn't matter. Would you like a $1,000 bill? So imagine you're walking down the street and in a pile of garbage, filthy, dirty, you see that $1,000 bill. Are you going to say, I'm not touching that? Did the $1,000 lose its value because it's in a pile of garbage? No. Not at all. It's still worth $1,000. So if you want the $1,000, what are you going to do? You're going to reach into the dirt, pick it up, and then after you take it out, what are you going to do? You're going to clean it. So then we've got to think of ourselves. What are we worth? Are you only worth $1,000? Are you worth $1 million? Are you worth $100 million? We are worth the infinite light of the Creator. There's no value we can place on that. It's infinitely priceless. What we're learning today, and we'll continue to learn, how to dust ourselves off, clean ourselves off, so that as we are shining our light by taking our dirt away, we're inspiring other people to do the same. And when you and I are inspiring people, and you out there are doing the same thing, and we're letting other people hear these messages and learn what we're teaching here, then every one of them will clean themselves off, and pretty soon what have we got? We've got a pristine world that's called the Garden of Eden, heaven on earth, and it starts with each and every one of us. God bless. So, for those of you who are new, what we do now we are a charitable organization. We are supported, and the projects of the center are supported by your donations. But we always take a moment. At this point, whatever your free will offering is, we just take a moment to put consciousness in it. Because consciousness is everything. So when you've received some wisdom and some transformation, ideally that awakens the desire to help others transform also by helping us to spread this wisdom. So if you just take your offering, and those of you who are watching online, you're welcome to be with us for this blessing, right, for this offering meditation, and then you can go online and make your donation through the website. So just hold it in your hand. We know money is just a vessel. It's a container for the blessing we put in it. So we take this moment just to put our love, our gratitude, our appreciation for everything the Creator has given us, for this wisdom that we call Kabbalah, that's teaching us how to manifest all the light that the Creator's put in our soul, to bring light, peace, and blessings to our lives. And we know by sharing this gift, not only is our life improved, but simultaneously we're improving every human being on earth's life, because we are all one soul. In gratitude, in love, we send it out to do its work, to bring transformation, to spread the Zohar and this wisdom of Kabbalah to the heart and soul of every person on earth. Peace on earth with mercy. And together we say, Amen. Let's wish everybody who's watching us a happy week. Happy Spiritual Sunday. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Let them hear you. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Great.